To America! Welcome to the Tong, where our loyalty lies only with warrior, and they will scrap only if I give them the order. And you feeling itchy, you got something to say? Just know we hop this way. Nobody else is suited for this other than us. I know it's crazy, but we work with it and don't give up. Welcome to the show. If you don't know the name, we call it Hop This Way.
Welcome back, all our itchy onions from across the pond and across the salt. We welcome you all, ducks, itchy onions, and all. It is us. We are back, the Hop This Way crew. Welcome to our Tong. I am your Tong master, I guess. Zeus. I don't know. What is the head of the Tong called? Am I the head of the Tong? I don't really know. But I am.
Father June.
No, don't say that right now. Yo, don't say that right now. This is the wrong day to be saying that. Say that right there, of course, is our brother and your brother, the one and the only Money Matt Chua. How you doing, brother?
Hello, sir. What's going on?
I am doing fantastic. I'm excited today. I'm feeling an energy. How about you?
Feeling energy?
I'm feeling that energy. I haven't had an energy drink in over a month now, and I feel like I just drank a whole bunch of Red Bull. And I feel like the feeling's mutual. Is that so with you, Miss Rebecca Nishi? How are you, Miss?
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm feeling some different vibe today, special one.
Right? What's going on today? It's a big day. And it can be a big day, and we couldn't have the show without, of course, having, our professor, our sensei, our senpai, if you will, and that is the one, the only, the professor, Mr. Frank Zhang. How you doing, Frank?
Hey, everybody. It's a nice, calm Sunday today, but I feel like we're waiting for something.
Right, like it's calm before the storm. And that storm is usually reserved for the hurricane that is Stephanie Young Pratt. I mean that with all the love in the world. And I say that knowing she's got weapons beside her as well. How you doing, Steph?
Hello, enjoying my Sunday. Very excited.
I'm very excited too. You know what? This excitement's getting to be too much for me. Why don't we bring it on right now? Because I know everybody knows it's no big surprise. We have got a huge show today. And the reason why I can't be called Father June is because we have got the actual Father June himself. That's right. Actor, musician, activist, and all around badass. Mr. Perry Young.
Yeah! Well, you're not Father June, but you're Father Zeus.
Oh, there you go.
All right. You know what? We better tell this to Larissa as well. We got to get that updated. How are you, sir? And thank you so much for coming on the show.
I'm great. It's so great to be back. I love that opening music. Who did that?
Oh, that was me.
That's all to America.
Amazing. That's amazing. It's so great to see. I mean, you guys aren't the Hopway, but you're the Hopway second company, right? All of you are ready to graduate right up once there's an opening.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. We're seeing a lot of comments coming in. Derek Chin, Heather Joy Pratt, Rasima, how are you? Yay. Matt's nemesis is here. The bombshell blurred. Super excited for today. Yes, this has got to be the handsomest Tong in the land. Of course, when we've got Father June here and Hatch is up. That's right.
RCR.
RCR. I mean, RCR is just great. I mean, these fans, I tell you, and I'm not talking about the Hop This Way fans. I'm talking about the Warrior fans are on a totally different level. Perry, you've been acting for a long time now, sir, and you have been on a lot of great shows and been in a lot of great movies. Have you ever seen a fandom like this before?
I think you guys give the Grateful Dead, a run for the money. They say the Great Deadheads have the best fans in the world. I think Warrior has the best fans in the world. Seriously. I went to Vicha Ratanapakti. I don't know if you know him, but he was the elder Chinese Thai man, sorry, in San Francisco, who was pushed to his death in
Oh,
2020, I believe. There was an anniversary for him, and I just happened to be there, and I showed up for them. And there was a woman who came up and said, "Oh my God, you're here, you're Father June," and she started crying. And then she called her mom, and she said, "Mom, I'm talking to Father June right now." So I've never
whoa.
had that kind of experience before as an actor. So it's quite amazing. It's quite moving, and really tells me that I'm quite, it's quite an honor and privilege to do what I do, especially for a show like Warrior.
Love it. And you talk about that and how it touches people, and you see them kind of react. We spoke a little bit beforehand about the show, and unfortunately, Max, it canceled it, but thankfully, a blessing in disguise, Netflix has now picked it up, and now there's a chance for this show to be seen worldwide and to be picked up by so many different audiences. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and the importance of this?
Well, a lot of the media out there is like the show that wouldn't die, right? The little show that seemingly nobody believed in. It just came from like the bottom of streaming on, Cinemax, which nobody heard of. But somehow the fans found us. And then when they canceled the second season, they weren't going to go into third. HBO, took it into their library, the mother company of
Mhm.
Cinemax, and then this huge swell of people saw it, and a lot of people joined the Warrior Facebook group, and people were writing, starting petitions, and there was a coma. Chinatown Organization for Media Awareness took out an ad, I think, in the Hollywood Reporter. I mean, all of you, spoke out and said we need a season three, and then lo and behold, they renewed a season three, and it was like unheard of. We thought, wow, what show can you think of in TV land that's been canceled and comes back because the
Mhm.
fan demanded it? It was just quite amazing. I mean, I could think of one right now, right? So that's Cobra Kai.
Cobra
And
Kai.
Kai blew up because it went to Netflix. So I
Mhm.
think that there's hope in Warrior getting a season four if there's a groundswell, a movement to sit
Mm,
and just showing up in numbers. So I think that if people who like the show can call their friends and tell their friends and post, watch the drop, when we air on Netflix on February 16th, and just put it on, all day long.
Mhm.
Binge watch, all three seasons, and that kind of uh, awareness and engagement with the show tells the Netflix that people like the show. They'll watch it from the beginning to the end, and that's really
mhm.
important to get another season. So yeah, so it's about numbers, how many people watch and how many people finish, right, the
Right.
seasons. So get people to finish the seasons, season one, and then binge season two, and with that kind of those kind of numbers, we're gonna get a season four.
We're definitely going to get a season.
Mhm.
I find it hard to fathom there not being a fourth season and possibly a fifth. And if I get my wish, as we've been saying since day one, 6 seasons in a movie. Uh, we need that origin story
Mm.
of how Father June and Bolo meet. Like not how they meet, but how they establish Chinatown. Because I mean that's a story that I think needs to be done. And there's a comment actually. Heather says, "Can we get a spin-off series, Father June's backstory, please?" How would you feel about that? Now, no spoilers here because everyone here is a fan of the show. You've had to have watched season 3 multiple times, like we have. Unfortunately, we lost Father June this season, but would you be down?
I would so be down for it, So all it takes is somebody. I'm not a writer, but all it takes is somebody to write the plot, right? This is it. This
Mm,
is the episode, right? This is the backstory. And once that's written, you can actually pass it on to a producer, right?
right.
So as an actor, we're sort of one of the bottom rungs of the ladder. It's all the suits and the producers and the writers that really make things happen, the showrunner. So, but if we have the idea, we can pass it up the flagpole. So it's quite amazing that I've gotten a couple of comments on my DMs about we need to see Father June's backstory, right? I would
Yes.
love to, yeah, but somebody else has to write it, and then I can help pitch it. Yeah, I think it'd be fabulous, and everyone loves Bolo, right? Bring Bolo back.
Everybody loves Bolo. Bring the OGs back. I'm telling you.
I
It's
love that.
such a great.
Yeah,
I
And
love
Rich,
that.
Rich is such a great guy.
the actor that plays Bolo. I love him. We talk all the time, and he's working on great projects. He wants to try to bring me onto his projects. And I'm
Yeah.
excited for Bolo because that if we get a season 4, there could be an episode of a backstory with Bolo.
And that's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
I was one of the guys petitioning for him to show up in season 3 or season 4, but as Bolo's twin.
Absolutely.
Bring him back, looking for some kind of revenge. What happened to my brother? I'm going after my Ling and Assam. That's all he wants.
And
there's
in TV land, especially with the Warrior, the writers, it's quite creative, and we have a lot of room. So his twin, Bolo's twin brother, could come back, not as a fighter, but as a lawyer. He's one of the first graduates of Yale. That character exists, in the 1860s. That could be Bolo's twin brother. Then he gets into the courtroom, and he helps Chinatown fight legally, right? So that's a whole other side of the Chinese American history that we haven't touched upon. Is Chinese Americans actually fought racist laws and overturned them. For example, the big one is birthright. Is because of a Chinese American fighting birthright that we now Americans enjoy that right.
What were you able
Brad,
to hear about your character in this third season? Because I feel like your character kind of in the season 3, it was like he was back and he was gone, right? Because he was he mentioned being on a ranch before being run out by a mob. He mentions the possibility of getting deported back. What kind of information or what kind of backstory did you imagine for Father June for this third season? Because there were ranchers in different parts of the Northwest, right, in different parts of the American Midwest, and it was just a quick mention. So it was like I feel like it just got teased, like, oh, this was there, but what was happening in the back rooms that you were privy to?
Absolutely. So a lot of the writers do their amazing research, right? So there are a lot of massacres, from Chinese miners that actually ran ranches, and that story where the people came with shotguns and drove us out, that happens, right?
Yep.
There'd be hundreds of more Chinatowns if that didn't happen. So many Chinatowns were razed, burnt. Mining camps were burnt. They were driven out of town. Seattle is a great historical story. It has a story about Chinatown where, a racist mob came and took all the Chinese out of their homes and put them on boats, literally walked them to the dock and sent them off, right? That's just one. Los Angeles has one of the biggest riots and lynchings of Chinese and lynchings in America of any color. So we don't really, I mean, Warrior did touch upon that in season 2, right, when Jacob was lynched. But so those are just part of the storylines, but a lot of Americans don't actually know these are all based on real incidences. So Father June did get rounded up and put in a cart and to get brought to a deportation camp. Those things really happened, and I think people can feel the historical accuracy of it, but they don't know. And I think that's part of the power of this show. It's like we believe in it because it happened. We didn't make this up. When I'm walking down the aisle through the detention camp and I'm talking to my son about what happened, all that stuff happened, so I don't have to make it up. And that gives it a lot of weight, for an actor. It's like I just have to say the line and know that it happened. I'm not making any of this up. So for people who know their Chinese American history, there was a lot of severe racism where Chinese were massacred, killed, and they could never testify like Black people against the white man, right? People of color could not testify in court. So all these people who committed these heinous crimes were never sent to jail because nobody could testify against them. And that's, I don't know if I'm going to change the subject a little bit. So I just did this event, Reckoning for Our Racial Past, with a Smithsonian sponsored event to celebrate Black History Month. And it reminded me of like, you know, how much we still need to unearth in history, because nobody's telling these stories. And you know, with book banning and you know, CRT being taken away, just you know, I'm not even talking about critical race. I'm just talking about real information. You know, we don't need to get
Hmm.
critical about real facts, about real history. Let's just talk about history, what really happened. And that alone can actually help put us on a different path towards a better country for everyone. And you know, there's plenty of room, right? There's plenty of cake to share. You know, it's just that the powers to be want us to fight over these little scraps, right? So I was really proud to be part of that event with the Smithsonian, because it really was about looking forward to understand these systems that oppress us. And you know, I think our show Warrior addresses all of that, right? They look at the big system. How did America start? With capitalism, you know, political demagoguery, immigrant scapegoating. It's all there. And I think it's in the story, and people just have to kind of follow the story and feel it and look at what's happening today in America, right? It's
Mm,
just how much has changed, really.
mm. Perry, I
Yeah.
mentioned this on the last episode, but my sister, Heather Joy, has started to use Warrior to give a timeline and relevancy for my niece and nephews.
Mm,
And so the 16-year-old and 13-year-old are through all 3 seasons. And
wow.
getting a text message from my nephew who's 13 and he's getting all machismo and he's getting, he's feeling himself and he's lifting. He's like, but you didn't tell me this was going to happen. I'm like, well, but the relevancy, for her to be able to use the show and lay this out for them and then connect it, and all of the things that we talk about and share over social media, things that you post and then my sister will digest and put this in front of them, it's priceless. It's absolutely priceless. And it leads right in, like you said, it leads right into the next and into the Chinese Exclusionary Act. And it's all right
Absolutely.
there. And if we don't start having these pieces to connect the dots and teach people, I feel like we're so lost. And on that note, I would love it to have it reach a point where it really does connect to today. And on that note, I actually went by the laundry, the Chinese laundry, the whole topic of Chinese laundrymen. And again, when there were no women. And I took a video of the Chinese laundry, the spot where my mother grew up, working in the back of the laundry with my grandfather. And
Mm,
that is our Chinese American history. So you all know I'm all extra with and loud about all of this, but I would love to see it finally connect. And we need all of these things, Perry. We need what you're doing.
absolutely. That's why I mean it's so important that we get another season or two or three, because there's so many more stories to tell, right? I mean, there's so many more like little, you know, again, the writers have used historical facts and they just weave it into our story, our narrative, right? So these things really did happen. Those things, um, yeah, you know, I think that people can just feel the authenticity of the historical aspects of the show, so that actually resonates with a larger crowd that's not just about martial arts or you know intrigue or drama. There's a lot of historical accuracy, and the art direction sort of represents like the attention to detail. I mean, when we walk on a set and you know, I just look and go, oh my god, this is so real. You know, it's like I don't even have to act. I just have to stand there and say my lines, you know? Um, it's one of those things. It's just that everybody does their homework. And yeah, I mean, it deepens, right? If we can just get season 4, 5, and 6, there is the laundryman episode, right? Or there is a laundryman. And how many times did they practice kung fu with their pose in the back of the store, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like Bruce Lee's Return of the Dragon when they go to Rome and all the guys are in the back. You know, those things really happened. You know, I have friends in Chinatown, in Oakland, in laundry stores that practice, you know, wushu on their part time. It's just
Wow.
it's all there.
Mm-hmm. My
There's
mom
a
came home one day. Sorry.
Oh,
oh no worries. I was just saying there's a dignity to a lot of these characters also. It's not just bad shit happening to Chinese people. You know, it's like more
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
like, and you were saying earlier about the potential of a twin coming back to play a lawyer. You know, that's another aspect to where, yeah, a lot of bad things happen, but they also survived. They also regrouped. They also sued for their rights. They also rebuild wherever they need to rebuild in conditions that are very, very difficult to fathom today. They made it through. So that was the other part
Mhm.
of it.
Yeah, when you say
Exactly.
dignity, absolutely, because when we saw these characters, it's the first time this show centers our experience, right? We don't often get to act in a television show telling having a full dynamic range as a human being, right? So when I'm giving these words, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just a human being. What am I bringing to this role? And
Right.
it's about, having been in this industry for 30 years, I'm bringing dignity. I'm bringing respect into this older Asian man you rarely see on TV. So, it's one of those things where when Jason Tobin, the wonderful actor who plays young June, when we saw that our storyline was going into father and son,
Oh,
right? Yeah, there's my boy. We're just father and son. We're not Tong gang triad stuff, right?
Yeah,
What can we bring to this Asian father and son that people haven't seen before? And we talk about that, right? It's really important. This show is really important to us.
that's
Um,
wonderful. That's uh, can I can I go?
yeah, of course.
uh, that I made that comparison with Logan Roy and Father June, like the two tiger daddies that made me cry. They have this similarity. They are both immigrants. They came to America to make a life, make a living, because they were like starving in their origin country. So many people can relate to that. Not only Asian, it happens uh, everywhere. Like uh,
absolutely.
people that pass through some hardship, like starving or war, they become hard people. And I know that Asian people are usually a little bit, not too emotional, or not too much expressive. They are like a little bit, you know, uh, inner centered. And so, me being a granddaughter of a Japanese immigrant, I know how this kind of things that happen to a person, moving to another country, totally different country, different culture, and being bullied. And so, in the end, when you say the memorial of Logan Roy, the kids, the children speaking of him, and Father June with young June on that scene, you see at in the end, all that they have done was for to raise the kids, to win in life, to make a name for themselves. So I wanted to know from you if you relate to that, and in your family, how many generations are you in America? I mean, who was the first one who came?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Rebecca. It's very important. I am fourth and first generation. So in Chinese American culture, you count the firstborn as the first generation. But I'm also fourth because my great great grandfather came to work on the railroads, dig for gold, and a very typical archetypal Chinese American history where the boats went to Toisan, Guangdong, China to get indentured servants. So but because of the Anti-Chinese Exclusion Act, he couldn't bring his
Mhm.
sons over and couldn't. And there was the Page Act of 1875 that prevented Asian women from coming into the country. So there's systemic racism even back then, right? To stop Asians from forming families in America. So if somehow, like the wife of a businessman can come in, and then they actually did smuggle women in for prostitution, and that's why our storyline is actually true also, right? There's brothels in Chinatown. And they would, there's stories about fighting, people killing each other over a woman because there was like one woman to 100 men, right? So whoever had that woman was able to start a family. I mean, it is just ridiculous how incredibly racist that system was. But just to feel and to understand that my being here was like incredible luck through all of that, you know? Like my family immigrated only after they lifted the Chinese Exclusion Act, even though my great great grandfather came in 1860, you know? That's how, like we don't know that stuff about, Chinese America. So, I don't this show raises those questions and raises dialogue, which we can actually start, which you asked, how did I get here and why am I fourth and first? It's kind of a complicated thing to answer, but I only know that because I minored in Asian American history in college.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew why I never met my grandmothers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I was born here and my maternal grandfather was able to immigrate because of our family, he was already older. We could not bring the women over because they were already too old, and it was like, why couldn't we have done that decades ago? Why don't we have generational wealth in the same way that white Americans enjoy, right? They have 4 generations in America. Why do Japanese Americans don't? Because they had it all taken away from them during World War II when they had to sell their land and property, right? So these things are all stories that are in our culture that are not told. And if we get a chance to tell it, it's such a privilege, so that's why a show like Warrior is so important. We actually get to tell our stories and we can humanize it. I can humanize the fact, the moment with young June and Father June are in a deportation camp. A lot of people in America today might think, good, they should get immigrated, right? That's the big hot topic right now for the next education is like they should be deported. But if you look at us, you look at the father and son and why are we there and how our whole history of suffering, and is that fair? And what do they have back home? This helps shape society. This helps shape cultures. This helps shape political movements. This helps to shape legislation to be written to get Asian American studies taught in K to 12, which has happened during the pandemic, and it takes the whole village, to come together to make these systemic, maybe not make systemic changes, but to challenge the system and to show a new voice that can actually, you know, dismantle the system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I
One
answered your
thing.
question.
But you seem to be doing a lot of this. Everyone knows you are a huge activist on behalf of human rights, which we all applaud you for, and I think we all love you for a little bit more. But there's another side of you as well, another love, and we know of your love of playing the flute, and it is some of the most soothing and calming music that we've had the pleasure of listening to. But sir, could you please explain this?
Yes, I could definitely say that. I mean, sometimes a picture, is more than 1,000 words, right? So my explanation is probably won't do it justice, but that's my performance group. That's a theater group I started in 1994 in New York City, sponsored by La Mama Theater
Mhm.
to tell our stories. We're 3 Asian American men. Me, I'm again first and fourth generation Chinese American. There's Waylon Quintero from Hawaii, who's third and fifth generation Filipino Hawaiian, and there's Richard Ebaharu, who's fifth generation Japanese American, whose mother was born in one of the American concentration camps. So nobody nobody's telling our story, right? So in 1995, when I met these guys around actually 91, we were auditioning for similar roles, and these were roles in theater and written by white guys, and we're like, we'll never get any of these roles. They're not for us. They're not telling our story. So we started the company Slam Performance Group to tell our stories, and it was just the most amazing thing. And it was a freedom. We had freedom, and we didn't need permission to tell our stories because La Mama is a place of that's supports the individual's voice no matter what. It's experimental theater. It's not about making money. It's about saying what you have to say to express yourself. So we had an amazing residency with La Mama where they supported us for 10 years, and we made 8 original theater productions. That particular one was called With the Hats, was about deconstructing Asian masculinity and
Mm-hmm.
tied to stereotypes, right? The cone hat that and we have a lot of fun. We play music. We're a band. It's sort of like that's a recent reunion. I think that was 2022 at 21 Pell Street in New York City, where we just played our music, and all our music is based on our experience of just wanting something, seeking something, dreams. And by virtue of that fact, they seem to be sort of activist songs, and we don't want them to be activist songs, but it's just about us wanting to, realize our dreams in America. They're funny, they're heartfelt, they're kind of based on true stories. Richard Abihara has one about, the 442nd, the Japanese American, the most decorated battalion in the army, the military. They're Japanese Americans in World War II.
Oh wow,
Wow.
love it. And now is that similar to the judo club as well, or is the judo club something?
You recognize one of those guys on the left of the screen. That's Richard Ebihara from Slant. So Rick and I have gone on and yeah, he's there in the middle. He's a great singer,
Right.
really great actor, and we've done a lot of things continuing Slant, even though Waylon Quintero moved back to Hawaii and did a PhD. But actually, he's moving back to New York, and we're gonna have a Slant reunion show in 2025.
Oh,
Hey.
It's going to be amazing. But I've stayed together with Rick. He's just a great, camaraderie. We're colleague. We fight. We're the same army. We're in the same military. We're fighting to tell our stories. And so we met Billy Asai, who plays bass, and Jun Suenaga. It just turns out that the three of them are Japanese Americans, and I'm the minority. I'm Chinese American. But our songs are still very universal about desire and wanting to realize our dreams. But we have a shared history, so we actually feel the same things, right? So during the pandemic, during the rise of anti-Asian hate, Billy wrote the song "Stop Asian Hate," and when I heard it and the band was putting it together, we started. It's just sort of set in our soul, right? Like, what are we doing? We have to use our voice to stop this, right? We are artists. We are musicians. This is our platform. This is what we do. We're not politicians. We don't write legislation. We're not tech or business people. We don't hire to change industry in that way, making apps maybe that reaches out to women and BIPOC communities to help. We write songs. We tell stories. We create empathy for people who hear this. We create the fabric of what makes culture, so we can be part of the change. We can be part of the change that helps politicians get people on their side, because we can tell them why we need them through our art. So Stop Asian Hate became something that was we needed to record. So once we heard the song in the studio, we thought, man, this would make. I thought this would make a great film, video. So maybe this all happened during also the writer's strike and the actor's strike, and my manager said, now's the time for you to do something that you've always wanted to do, because we don't know when this is all going to start again. Yeah, there's me, with my megaphone in New York City. So but that moment, right, of just screaming to the audience and telling people what we need to do is very different from art and music, right? Because that's just leading through words, galvanizing through words, right? A song touches you in the heart. It's a very different kind of art, right? And storytelling and film. So I wanted to reach people in a different way. Like, I wanted to tell them why hate is bad, right? So we've heard that. We've heard the language, come together, unify, fight the system. But how can I get people to think about that and feel it in their heart? So making a movie is one thing. So and doing the things I love. And that sort of ideology comes from Angela Davis and Grace Lee Boggs, who both said, you got to figure out a different way to combat racism and fight and be an activist. And you can't do the same old thing over and over. And you got to be creative about how you become an activist. And also, being an activist is being an activist for life, a lifetime. You have to learn to love it. So I did what I loved and put it into this film. And I directed a film using my bamboo flute, which I love playing. And I collaborated with actors whom I love to tell the story of basically Made for Women. It's like, how do women feel right during this time? Because all the anti-Asian hate most of the victims were elder women. And
Yeah.
which is just so, so I'm not going to use profanity, but it's like, why attack the weakest, supposedly weakest, physically weakest of our community, elders and women, and so I put these women just standing on the subway with the bamboo flute playing, and I just wanted people to react to that and see how it feels. And then we brought the song into it. So I thought my film was sort of three genres. It's sort of experimental music video, and documentary, all in under 9 minutes. And it's having a debut. I'm so proud. In the Disorient Festival in Eugene, Oregon, March. The festival runs March 8th to 17th. I think my film is showing on the 10th. Go to Disorient Film Festival and look, you'll be able to watch it online. Actually, this is a virtual festival. So I'm really proud of the film. I'll be flying out to Eugene, Oregon. If anyone's around on March 10th or around that week, they'll I'd love to see you there.
Love it. And there's no other excuse to go to Oregon. So folks, I'm kidding the people of Oregon.
I'm just throwing this back up there.
Yes. Yes.
Now we're just a little bit over the halfway point of the show. We still have Matt's Tong Trials reinitiation coming up. But there are so many comments here.
Yeah.
And I do want to get through these comments. Folks, they're not all questions, so I'm just going to kind of read through them, and we'll hit them as we can. Ragu says, the season 3 story arc of Father June and Warrior is so incredible. His character going through this sort of crossroads was just beautiful. I mean, we were, prior to the show, and thank you for the comment, prior to the show, we were kind of going over some of the scenes, and I had to relive Joe bringing you back to Jason. That scene, I don't know if that's more devastating or your death scene and the My Boy, but both those are just like, what are you doing to my heart? I watch this show for action and sticky. What is up with this emotion? But yeah, what was that? What were those scenes like for you, Perry? Was one more emotional, or were they of equally heavyweight?
They're different, right? They're very equally powerful in different ways. So, I love Joe Taslim. He's such a sweetheart. Off screen, he's like the sweetest guy on the cast, right? I rarely have a scene with Joe, right? So we're just, and there's not many words in that scene. So we just have to wonder how we play that. And it's just so easy working with Joe. I've known him, for those, 5 years of working on Warrior, right? In and out of between seasons and stuff. And we rarely have a scene. So it's such a gift, to see that on paper and to know Joe in person and to know his character. And he's also so giving, and we just give, right? And then we listen to the direction, and we feel the camera. I mean, it's such a gift. And both Joe and I, after we shot that scene, we went, oh my God, that was so, I didn't expect that to be so powerful, right? But you feel it, right? Even though we haven't seen the edit, we just shot it. And then the scene with Young Jun obviously is very different. When he says "my boy," we rehearsed that, but not much. But not much, because we don't want to overdo it, right? We just want to say what we need to say in that moment, and it's just gonna reverberate. And I love the actor, Jason Tobin. He's so sensitive, so giving, like you whisper and he feels it, and those are the kind of people you want to work with. And again, having that trajectory of Father June go through that incredible dynamic arc and then die is a gift to any actor. Any actor has that kind of moment on screen. I mean, most actors on film and television may never have that kind of emotional arc on a show of any kind. Most actors are not going to be the 1%, right? That are the leads in movies and television. Most actors are there to serve the main actor. They're not going to have that kind of arc. So I think the writers, and bless their soul, and the showrunners wanted Father June to go out with a bang.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? And Jonathan Tropper is an incredible Shakespearean kind of person. And he goes, what other way to do it than the sun? I mean,
Oh,
like, you can't get, it's a Godfather here, right? We're talking about the Godfather trilogy here. So I always think about what the show has given me and what the actors have given me and what the writers have given me, and I just feel like the most, blessed person on this planet.
Next question. RCR says, what are those hats hanging on? And of course, he's referring to this picture here. They're
We'll leave it to
hanging
your
on your,
imagination.
yes. I love it. I love it. Up next, what do we got here? Lots of comments here. And I'm trying to get through them all, folks. I promise I am. Reg also says, Raghu also said, I love the documentary The Slanted Screen, which I saw back in 2006 when I was in college. To which Derek Chin, who's a longtime fan and one of our favorite fans, says, I'm probably the oldest fan in this group. There's a reason Bruce Lee has meant so much to me, and now Warrior is a lifelong yearning to be included, to be seen as masculine and not to be diminished. And he also follows that up by saying, Ragu, look at the credits in Slanted Screen. I helped fund the production for my friend, the late Jeff Adachi.
oh wow.
Derek, Derek is like an onion in the best way. I mean, he is just layers upon layers.
Yeah.
I have a feeling like we're going to find out one day.
Called him an
We're
ogre.
going to find out one day that Derek, he's the Chinese James
You
Bond.
called Derek an ogre just now. So
I called him an ogre.
yeah, ogres are like onions. Ogres have layers. Onions have. You don't get that joke? Come on, man.
Come on, Shrek. Come on.
Shrek.
Oh,
Come
I'm the
on.
only one here. I mean, in our group. All right, shush. All right. I'm going to stop now and move on to the next question. RC, I want to talk a little bit about the flute and restoration of historical instruments. We know that this is a huge passion of yours as well.
Wow. I'm just going to say that briefly because that's lifetime work, I see the flutes like children. There's a lot of orphans in the world. I think that if we can, so in terms of restoration, if we could buy a used instrument, and find it a home, it's better than producing a new instrument because that's just part of, we don't need to bring another child into this world right now.
right.
But there are a lot of children who need a home. So that's all I'm going to say right now.
Wow.
That's a good answer. Risma says Facebook Warrior fan page is constantly out in force getting people to watch Warrior on Netflix. We'll bring Warrior back. It is incredible what Brian has done with that Warrior page, though. That has grown. I remember, because I think when we first started doing this, I feel like the show was still on Cinemax, or at least when we started talking on the group page and everything.
Yeah.
Talking about doing the first podcast, I think maybe it just ended on Cinemax, and that was going to be our first show, Matt, because you were on my first show.
I was on the very first one,
yeah, and that was just going to be our way of grieving Warrior Cinemax folding, and we're like, well, what are we going to do with our show now?
Yeah, we didn't think this shit was going to be like, oh yeah, years later we're just going to have Perry shooting the shit with us. That really wasn't like a thing. And then here it is right now. It's like, oh wow, this has come such a long way.
Yeah. And you talked a little bit about it earlier too, Perry, about this Facebook group. I guess we have to give Brian his flowers. What could you say at least about the group? Because I know many of the actors and production team are part of this group as well.
Yes. Sometimes I see my name pop up and I go see what's going on. And I'm always so heartened by the passion that you all have with it. I don't actually spend a lot of time on social media, only when I need to get in and do something. But, it's so heartening. It's so moving to see that our show has this sort of fan base that is so passionate about it, and that it actually, it inspires me. I mean, I could say for sure, it feeds me and it helps me do what I do. When I can see some of the posts and I see we all just want to be heard, right? We want our voice to be heard, and we want stories that speak to that. And so when we do get it, in this sort of, it's TV world that is so saturated with the same systemic stories that when one pops out like Warrior, it really pops out, right? And so it's moving. It's quite moving. Thank you, Brian, for doing all of this.
Yeah, Brian, we all thank you for that. Derek says he concurs. We need a flashback show where Father June discovers the yellow demon.
Yes.
All I gotta say is we gotta write that. Somebody write it and send it to me.
Yellow demon.
Yellow
I didn't even realize
demon.
you were learn that, Becca. That's I love it. So good.
Somebody write the pilot or the episode and send it to me, and I'll send it up the flagpole to the producers.
Do you
got
hear
it.
that, Amy?
I'm on it. I'm on it.
Amy P?
Yeah, we're the writers in the bunch.
Don't be surprised though when you find Zeus in the script. He says, Father June, best tiger daddy.
Amy is a writer. Do you hear that, Amy? Please
Amy
write
is a
an
writer.
episode.
Amy's a great
Oh, that's
writer.
right.
She's a writer in Seattle, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Thank you. I try to give young June a firm hand,
Ursma says you can come back as a ghost in season 4. Heather says I'm in actual denial to the idea of no more Father June. Don't say no more though. This is the one thing. It's TV. Whether Father June may have passed and we will never see him in the present tense of the show, there's flashbacks. There's lots of ways to bring Perry back. I still don't think we've seen the end of Rich, so you can be damn sure believe I don't think it's the last we've seen of Perry and Father June. Derek says, go ahead.
The writer Jonathan Tropper, the showrunner, created Banshee. There's a lot of flashbacks in Banshee.
Yes.
I honestly, the whole reason why I watched Warrior in the first place was because I watched Banshee first. And then when I saw it was Jonathan Tropper, I was like, oh my God. And then I saw Hoon was there and okay, I'm in, And then, from the first episode, you know what got me? It's that very first interaction Assam has with, was it Nick, the officer? I'm not sure, Nick Paulson, or I forget what it
No, it was a different,
different actor, but it was an officer, and he's speaking Chinese, and then it flicks to English as they pan around, and I'm like, oh my God, this is absolutely brilliant. This is brilliant. There's no subtitle, and the show is just I do this all the time. I'm sorry. I am probably JT's biggest supporter. So, but I digress. Let's move on. Derek said Rich Ting is a great guy. Had the honor of meeting him at the Giants Bruce Lee night.
So jealous.
Yeah, Rich is super nice guy, and I mean a giving guy too. He's been on the show a few times. And here we go. Some more love for Rich. This is the Rich show now. The facial expression from Rich Ting says he was channeling the real Bolo Young. I love it. And we love Perry. He played the role perfectly. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I feel like we've got most of these here. And we're running out of time. We're down to the last 10 minutes. So, folks, if we didn't get the hello, Simon Scott, fellow Warrior. All right, perfect. Sorry. So if I didn't get to your comments, folks, I do apologize, but we are getting really close to the end of the time here. And we got to do the reintroduction of the Tong trials, the reinitiation, if you will. And we cannot do any of that without having our sergeant at arms, I guess, if you will, the one who burns them into the Tong. That is the one, the only, Mr. Matt Chua. Matt, would you like to give a rundown?
It's only ever me. But so pretty much, Perry, you have done this before, but I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on how this is going to go. I'm going to ask you a series of 10 questions, and of course, you're going to answer them to the best of your ability. And when it's all said and done, we will throw our hands in the air, and we will go from a count of 3, and then we will judge if you are still in the Tong, or for the first time ever, you will be the first one to ever get casted out and be done. Now, so far, we've had a 100% success rate in nobody ever getting casted out. But
So the
as
pressure's on.
Larissa, as Larissa has pretty much said, somehow, some way, history is going to get made. So either way, we're going to be fine. So I asked this question once again, Perry, are you ready to endure the Tong trials again?
Bring it on.
All right, here we go. First question. If you had a time machine, would you revisit your past or see your future, and why?
I would revisit my past because there are a lot of things that I would redo and would put me in a different place. If I saw my future, I might not want to go there.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. Scared of what you're gonna see. I'm not mad at that. Here we go. Next question. Name a cartoon, show, or movie they should never do a reboot or remake of.
Return of the Dragon.
Oh, like it.
Yes. Next question. This seems to be always the good one. Name a hidden talent of yours that would surprise people.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know if I have any more hidden talents. I've exposed myself fully to my audience, to the people out there. I think I was a very good visual artist. That's what I studied in college. I can sketch the human figure very realistically with charcoal and pen and ink.
Ooh.
Nice.
Wow.
Ooh.
That we didn't know.
And you don't have anything up that we actually see like on Instagram, right?
Not
You
right
just- that's-
now, but I could send you something later if you want.
Yeah.
Let's-
Oh, please do.
I'm
Yes,
good
yes.
with the exclusives. Sorry, Hop This Way fans. We're sorry. Next question. We're all at a karaoke bar. What is the song you're choosing to give the performance of a lifetime? And could we get a little sample? That's a bonus.
Oh my God. I can only give you a sample because I just started trying to figure this song out on guitar, but Hotel California.
Yes.
Yes.
Love in the doorway, something wind in her hair, sweet smell of colitis, rise up in the air. One look in the distance, something shimmering light. I can't remember the words.
And that's all right. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, next.
Love it. I can't believe you got Perry Young to sing on our show.
I love it.
I don't know. He might just be in just for that. I think I'm just already going to throw it up. All right, next question. Finish this sentence. Never have I ever blank.
Oh my God, I don't know. I think I've done everything.
Oh shit.
Oh no. Okay. Never have I ever been violent to a woman.
All right.
Yeah.
Give it up. Next question. What is some advice that was given to you that you have never forgotten?
Oh, I mean, that would be the advice. I wouldn't be advice, but it would be a quote from Angela Davis. You are an activist for a lifetime. Learn to enjoy it.
And indeed you have. You are always out there killing it. Next question. What is the best meal of the day? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Oh, man, I guess it would be dinner because I get to hang out with friends usually and have a glass of something, and
Now, what is the go-to dinner dish for you?
I love Asian food. Any Asian food, right? It's an incredibly wide palette of food. If you just think about Asia, any kind of Asian food.
Okay.
I mean, I love food in general, believe it. I mean, I love food in general, but my my comfort food is like Asian food.
Say no more. Actually, this is a nice Nice.
It sounds like it's a Five Alarm kind of Asian food that you like, though.
Yeah, it's really funny. I'd sit by, there's a sort of a convalescent home across my window, and every time I try to do a self-tape audition is when the ambulances come by.
Oh, I always hate that. You gotta turn it off, wait, set up, do again. Next one. All right, this is actually good. This is actually a couple things based for the your warrior family, because everybody calls it a family. All right, so now based off of everybody on the cast, crew, whoever it is, which one would you invite for a cup of coffee, and which one would you invite to get a beer?
I
Oh
love
my
that
God.
picture.
That's unanswerable. I mean, I love them all. They're all great at coffee. I've met them all for coffee, and I've met them all for drinks. I mean, they're all just like, I can't answer that. They're
Spoken like a true Baba.
I was gonna say specify, but you know what? I'm not gonna push it. I'm gonna let you be. I'm gonna let it slide. Like now back in the day when I was in school, the class would always give out awards like, oh, best smile, best dress, who's most likely to just succeed in whatever. If the Warrior cast gave you an award like that, what do you think it would be for?
Oh my God. I think I've heard of them referred to me as I don't have the words for it, but like Perry would have the answer to that. In terms of like maybe life philosophy, like, but maybe not in terms of like, a technical question on set, acting wise, but like, oh yeah, Perry had, for lack of a better word, I don't want to say it, a kind of like experience that would say that I am one of the oldest in the cast. So they would look at me as like actually Papa Perry. I think some of them have referred to me, or there's like, there's like
the award. The
Perry the
award
Sage.
would be Perry Knows.
it's kind of like,
Very knows.
like when they do interviews and there's an interview going around, they always say, "Wait till you talk to Perry." So there's something
I love
about
it.
what I say, like they're like, "Oh yeah, he's been there," or something.
It sounds like you really are the head of the Tong on set too.
Yeah, I feel like
that
award would be most wisdom or most knowledgeable.
Yeah.
That'd probably be
maybe, for
for
lack
you.
of a better word, maybe.
Yeah, because my words only are about like yay thick. I can't say much. Next question. Out of all the characters you've played so far, which one would actually be your friend in real life?
Well, this is really funny. I did a show, The Nick, 2014, that ran for 2 seasons. And I was Ping Wu, right? So it's very similar, Chinatown brothel, opium dealer, very similar to Father June, but a different level, And I would say that I brought myself into Ping Wu also, right? Because I understood that period of history and who that man was, is. And I brought a different understanding into Father June. So but I would say both of those are very close to my heart because they're based on people like I would have known. My grandfather, my great-great-grandfather could have been that guy. Maybe he wasn't a brothel owner or opium dealer, but he was a man in Chinatown at that time. And so I brought that kind of humanity into him. I think it's these archetypal Chinese characters of of the older Asian father right now. And I think I'm inhabiting these older Asian fathers in The Harvest recently I played one, and Boogie I played a father. So I think that archetypically I would say that I'm loving being the Asian father.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are
I
really
love Boogie though. Boogie's one of my favorite, like low key, like that's a great movie. But to be fair, I watched it like I was in the height of Warrior when that came out, and I'm like, I'm gonna support. And then I was like, wow, like that blew me. And was that filmed in Toronto? Was that or?
It was filmed in New York City.
Oh, okay, all right. I knew it was neat, like it took place like around New York area, but it felt like I'm sure I've been to that park in Toronto, but Toronto and New York very similar, anyways. Aside from the attitude.
I feel like I saw a few of those things on casting networks, and then once I saw that you were part of it. I'm like, I'm so pissed off I didn't go for none of that.
Oh.
But I was so upset. I was like, son of a bitch. But it's all right. It's neither.
But it was a touching movie. But you were a bit of a you like playing these bit of a hard ass dads.
You know, I get cast in those roles. You know, I also audition for softer fathers. I don't get those roles.
Ah,
No, we saw you already. We know. We saw you on the Nick. We see you on Warrior. We saw you in Boogie. I'm
Snakehead.
sorry.
I mean, people have seen you doing push-ups, so I mean, why you're surprised?
It's because he is Papa Perry. He is Papa Perry. Damn it.
Papa Perry's never going away. You still got.
Yo, we got the final two. He's at the home stretch. He's almost there. And describe your perfect day off.
Ooh.
Oh my God. You know, I don't have a perfect day off. Every day is a perfect day. I love what I do.
Hmm.
Love that.
Wow.
And finally, now, the last Tong Trials, you said the theme song that you wanted every time you went into the room was the Warrior theme song. My question is, does that still hold true, or is there another theme song that will replace that?
I don't think so. I think Reza and his colleague who wrote the song did an amazing song that captured our show so well. I don't think that I mean I think you wrote a great theme song for Hop This Way, which is great. Maybe that
Oh, you want that? I mean, that's by all means. You go right ahead. I'll tailor it a little bit and I'll throw you in there for the personalized remix. Well, that's all for me. So, Tong, I would like to see your hands in the air, please. Let's find out, is Perry still in, or will he be the first one to get casted out? On the count of three, let me see your decisions. 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Perry still has his Hop This Way card. We are rebranding it. He is in. Congrats, you endured the second Tong trial ever here on the Hop This Way show.
Thank you, Onion.
No, and I can't begin to tell you honestly how great it is for you to come on a second time here with us and try to get this little show that could going again for another season. Folks, it is so important. If you like the show, like Perry said, when it drops on Netflix, go out and watch February 16th. Go watch the entire run, every episode. You're going to do it anyways, so just do it. As soon as it drops, Netflix is going to see those algorithms. We're going to get our season 4 out there, and let's just go. You know, this is the show that could, and we will do it again. Perry, again. Yes, sign the petition.
Yes.
Sign the petition. Make sure you do that. Follow the Warrior pages. Follow the Warrior pages. You already follow us because you're watching us, but do everything you can to get this out there. We've got nothing but love and respect for you, sir, as you're seeing here as well. Is there anything you'd like to go out with, sir, that you'd like to imbue with us?
I think you did it. I'm just so proud of the show. I'm so proud that there are Hop This Way. You guys are really, holding the torch up. And I think this is all for the show represents that we have a different view of America that we want to see happen. So thank you all. Let's make a new America together.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. All right, folks. Well, we end the show the same way every week. And every week it looks awkward AF, but this is still getting us our T-shirts.
It's to the right. It's to the right, to the left. That's right.
We always start off to the right, lean to your right, and we say, let's
get sticky.
We nailed it.
One more time for Perry Young for joining us tonight. Yeah.
Thank you,
love everybody. And thank you to each and every one of you that joins in. And let's keep this show going. Lots of love. Bye now.